Hey,
Hey,
everybody. Hey, Tammy.
hey, Lisa.
Can you guys see me? I'm curious.
I see you.
Well, I know you see
You're
me. I'm curious.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So are you. And I am looking to see if other people can see me because Friday night they couldn't. So glitchy, I guess.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure before we go forward.
looks like it's all fixed.
Yeah, I don't see anybody saying no.
Yeah,
All right, let's see here. Let's see who we've got in here. And I'm a little snuffly this morning, so I apologize.
me too. I'm sniffly. You're snuffly and I'm sniffly.
I don't I don't even feel sick, but I know something's weird,
Uh-huh.
which is usually like the kind of what I get, but I don't get sick often because I stay away from people. Apparently, I was with
Yeah.
people too much.
Right.
Hey, Rebecca Touched by Yarn. Good morning, Gwen, Broke Cowgirl Homestead. Hey there, Heather, Milk and Honey Heritage Farm. Um,
Off-grid world and Troy Sutton, about 6 acres homestead. Hello. Hello.
hello, hello. So Gwen put something before I go down the comments more. I'm going to put this on the screen and then we'll come back to it. Hey, Off Grid World. Hey, Troy Sutton. Hey,
Oh,
about Six
uh,
Acres Homestead. Thank you for letting me know that.
mhm. That is such a good point.
Yeah, instead of saying I have to, whatever it is, switch it to I get to have a clean kitchen when I clean, or I get to have jars of food on the pantry shelf if I
If I
can.
can.
Tammy, LOL.
So it's happening. It's got to happen, and I'll tell you why. Because I put myself in a situation where I have to. And I do have to. And I'll tell you why I have to. Because I signed up for a collaboration by Jenny Goff. And I think it's called Ready to Can. And I'm telling you, like, God wants me to do this because she emailed me and says, hey, can you take 2 days? And I told her, if you can make them a good week apart or so, I'll do that because I know it's on my goal list. And then I have no excuses. Like, I got to get busy, right?
You get to.
So I get to be in her collaboration. Yes. And I got 2 days. But here's the funny part, I asked for like at least a week between. So my days are 5 days apart. So
Well, but here's the thing.
I got to start early.
You can do 2 batches in one day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I could, but I won't. You see, because nervous me about this whole thing is going to be like nerding out. I'll consider that though, Lisa. I will consider that. I just feel like I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably going to be so nervous that doing the one at a time is good.
Tammy,
Hmm.
read the directions on your pressure canner.
Okay. I've
Do
been watching
everything,
January.
do everything they tell you to do.
Yep.
Because your canner is different than somebody else's.
Yeah.
Watch Leanne's video on pressure canning, if I remember which one it is, because she tells you which ones to inspect, what to inspect, and all
Oh,
that.
very cool. Okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's easier than water bath canning. Just make sure your lid is locked on and don't touch it
Mhm.
until your canning thing tells you to touch it.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you don't walk over to your Instapot and
Mhm.
try to open it the minute you shut it off. You let
Oh
it sit
yeah. You
for an
gotta let
hour
it.
or so.
True. True. Yeah.
In fact,
Good comparison.
I use my electric canner a lot more often because I make broth every week.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I do
Okay.
is I set a timer for an hour because they say
Uh-huh.
an hour is when you can open it.
Uh-huh.
But I also know that if it's in that electric canner, it's going to be fine. So I just let it sit there.
Mhm.
And once the timer goes off, I note the time and then I go in there at maybe 2 hours later.
I'm glad you said broth because that's one of the things that I really would like to make to have in our cupboards because we cook with it. And it's obnoxious when I have to go into the freezer and get, a bag of or a container of frozen broth out. It's obnoxious. Plus, my freezer's full.
Juana said, walk away and put a sign. I'm assuming it's Juana because I know it's Juana and Nick. But walk away and put a sign to make sure no one in your family gets curious. She didn't have any littles that would touch it.
No littles. And I would do it on a day I didn't have the grandbabies over.
And Larry would totally, I'm sorry, Mountain Grandpa would totally behave himself.
He would. Like, I think he will probably, when he knows that I'm doing it, he's probably even going to be in there with me. Like, okay, what do we got going on? What are we doing, kind of thing? Because he worries about me. You have
the Presto, right?
Yeah. When I say he worries, he's very much a protector. So he has picked up on how nervous I am about it. I think he's going to want to see what's going on, make sure I'm all good.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's what Gwen's saying. That's why you have to read the instructions to your camera.
I have
you have the Presto, right?
Yep, Presto.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yep, I got. Oh, good. Good to know, Lisa. Got you on speed dial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Heather too. She's got some
with the same canner. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, there's the whole Canuary going on, and I've been watching a lot of those videos. But I'm gonna feel like the biggest chicken if I end up sharing just water bath canning videos. Do you know what I'm saying? I can't, because I'm gonna know that was me, being a big sissy. I don't know.
No.
There's other words I can use, but I don't want to chicken out.
No. I mean, the reality of it is I water bath more than I pressure can.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is because I have the freeze dryer and I use that.
Yeah.
It makes, here's the thing.
That broth. That broth is a big one. What's another one that you that you tend to can because you really want to have it in your cupboard? Everybody in the chat, what do you all can that's pressure canned because you want it in your cupboard? Because I'm forcing myself. Do you see how we're doing this? Talking about breaking down goals today. I know my personality type, and I could spend the next 2 years studying this if I don't watch myself.
Okay. You need to treat this like soap.
Okay.
You need to do it, and that's it.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I got myself in the proverbial pickle, shall we say, which is what I needed, right? Because that's one of those ways. Meat, tons of hamburger. Okay, that is actually. I'm glad that who said that. Was
Off Grid World.
I'm glad that you said that because that was another one that I was kind of thinking about. I like the idea of pulling out like cooked hamburger meat and making, a quick meal with it. Plus we have hamburger meat.
I haven't done a lot of meat and I'll tell you why, and I need to. I haven't, and it's because I've pressure canned carrots. I don't care for them at all.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
They're horrible for me.
Raw.
We don't grow enough green beans to even bother.
Mm-hmm.
We do want to do stew beef.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the raw pack, and stuff like that. But I just don't.
Chicken.
We don't eat a lot of beans. We don't eat a lot of, the meat is from the freezer. I know we could can it, but I kind of am like, is it going to taste the same or is it going to taste gross?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my thought. I know it's stupid, but.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Because canned meat does taste a little bit different, right?
I don't know.
Look at Gwen. She's so through it all. Susie, chicken suggests chicken.
Through it all, Susie.
Great for chicken salad. Off Grid World suggested the hamburger. So easy, raw pack. I like that. I do like that idea. I wonder if it'd be the same for beef chunks that you'd put into a stew. And then
I have black beans in my pantry that we vac sealed, and they're dried. But I want to pack them and just throw some seasoning in with them. But the reality of it is we don't eat a lot of them.
Yeah,
that was an impulse buy.
Mm-hmm. I also like so breaking it down into chunks. That's what we're talking about this time, right? So I'm gonna use myself as an example, and I'm being selfish in that because if I use me as an example, then y'all are helping me with my next steps. So it sounds like my steps to success here, hey Bushcraft, are to continue watching videos, but I need to put myself in a timer. My first video is supposed to come out February 11th. So I think that I should do my practice canning like this weekend, right? Because and I need to be ready to practice can. And somebody suggested water. Has anyone else done that? Can you guys speak to that for me?
Off Grid World suggested it also.
I like that. But
Hey on the plant. What's up, Charles?
did you do it? Can everybody tell me what was the first thing you pressure canned? The plant.
Chicken broth. Chicken stock.
I'm really liking the idea of broth.
I do it every week, and the reason why is when we have a routine, right? So we take out our a whole chicken, right, that we raised.
Yeah.
We cut the wings and full legs off,
Mm-hmm.
and then we cook that one night.
Mm-hmm.
The next night we cook the breasts and put it in something or whatever. And then the carcass is left over. And so then I make broth every week.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
But let me see here.
Hey, that was one thing I was wondering about. I think I was looking at a recipe because that recipe's like there is instructions in the bowl canning books. I kind of want to stick to that. Normally when I do my broth, it could be a carcass that's already been cooked too, and I could put it in the pot and make broth of it. When you do your broth for canning, do you use a raw carcass or do you use one that's already been like cooked?
I used to use a raw, but I found that when I cook the breasts, I now cook the carcass because I feel that the flavor is better with a cooked carcass, a roasted carcass going in there.
And it doesn't matter for canning.
No.
Okay.
No. And let me just go to the chat real quick. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Sure.
About
6 Acres said chicken broth was their first thing that they pressure canned. I like that idea.
Hey on the plant. Hope you're doing well. Hey Ginger, not for nothing Homestead. Gwen says not rubbery, it's tender. Hey Kathleen, my Alabama farm life.
Hope and Heather's first was beef bone broth.
And Charles said spaghetti sauce. I actually think spaghetti sauce was my first.
But that's not water bath canned?
It depends on the recipe you're using, I think.
Gotcha.
I don't do a lot of it. What we do is we water bath can our tomatoes. So what we do is when we get a bunch of tomatoes, we do like the quarters to have jars of tomatoes, and then that way we can do whatever we want with it. So we can water bath them because we add the citric acid or the lemon juice. And Charles said yes, just you add lemon juice.
Okay, gotcha. All right. I really need to make it be pressure. I really want to make it be pressure canning because to me, the water bath canning's an easy button. That's me wimping.
Do raw pack meat. It's easy.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, it's keep it simple the first time. Like, don't worry about doing a stew per se.
Yeah.
Just do it. Read a raw pack meat one.
Okay.
And you can do that. And then for the second one.
Okay, dumb question.
Yeah.
When you raw pack meat and you put it in the pressure cooker, I'm assuming it cooks when it's in there, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you put seasonings in there with it? Or no?
I don't know. I'll let everybody else weigh in because I've not done it, but I've seen people do it.
Because one thing we've noticed, like especially with chicken, if we're gonna cook something and then I'm gonna freeze it, it is not good unless you have marinated that chicken. Like if you don't marinate your chicken, the leftovers are gonna be nasty. They're gonna taste like, I don't know. They're not gonna taste good.
Seasoning, Gwen.
Seasonings, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it says just salt.
I'm going to throw out, since we're on my channel,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to throw out, not risking anybody else, I'm going to throw out my struggle with the approved and non-approved recipes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, approved recipes were lab tested. Yay!
Yeah.
Also by the same agency that is making us or allowing lab-grown meat. I have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
However, they also have not updated any recipes.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. I noticed the other day that South Dakota
Mm-hmm.
offers a testing process for non-approved recipes
What? That's cool.
to make sure. I don't know what it is.
Need to do some.
And do a video.
Do a video. Oh my gosh. You could even make a cookbook, a canning cookbook of South Dakota tested and approved canning recipes.
Oh
Tell her,
gosh.
everybody.
I got enough to do.
One more little thing won't hurt.
Let me
We'll break
see if
it down into smaller chunks.
Yeah. Gwen says she normally doesn't raw pack meat. I cook it first, then pack hot. I would raw pack it, and well, pressure canning. My head right away always goes to water bath, but that's not meat. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is I noticed that because of the extra time we have to add
Mm-hmm.
for water bath, I just don't like the stuff when it comes out. It's too mushy. So if they tell you to cook your potatoes
Uh-huh.
for X time,
Mm-hmm.
then put it in the pressure canner. I'm sorry, put it in, cook the item, put it in the
Water bath?
water bath,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to water bath it till the cows come home.
Yeah. Yeah, because especially you're at high elevation.
It's like, it's so done, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
So that's why I look at the less traditional recipes because of that.
Yeah.
Because those
That makes
carrots, we cut them in huge chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Follow the directions. They were raw packed,
Mm-hmm.
and they were still mushy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather freeze dry them.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
me.
Yep.
No problem, Ginger. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, potatoes are boiled like 5 or 10 minutes before packing. Exactly. So the recipe that I looked at said to do that. But what we ended up doing was instead of you know how you put your potatoes in the water and
Yeah.
bring to a boil?
Uh-huh.
We changed it to where we wait till the water boils
And then put the potatoes in.
and we boil it less than what they say
Mm-hmm.
and then put them in there. But even so, for me, the potatoes took on a much different taste and I didn't like it. I have to choke them down. Those are things like I feel
like mashed potatoes.
I ended up making mashed potatoes out of them because I
was
can
gonna say, yeah.
them.
Mm-hmm. But then at that point, you're probably thinking, I should have just freeze-dried flakes,
Bye, Juana.
right? Freeze-dried potato flakes.
Yeah, if I freeze dry
And
potatoes,
then
like
make mashed potatoes.
chunks or stuff like that, they taste like they just came out of the ground.
Yeah. I'm loving this. Okay, so here's my plan then, based on what everybody just shared with me. I am going to make sure I do my first canning this weekend. Y'all hold me accountable next Tuesday. And I'm thinking I'm going to pressure can. I'm going to shoot for the broth. I'm going to pull out my book, get ready. And I'm going to go watch some other videos of other people making broth and see how they're canning it, just to be prepared for that one thing. And then my next video, I might do the raw pack of the meat, or I might do raw pack. Do you think I should do the raw pack of the meat first? It does sound super easy. Like put raw meat in a jar, make sure that the jar is sterile and clean. And
can I tell you how I do my broth?
Yes.
It's not necessarily approved. It's not necessarily approved.
That's okay. Tell me anyway.
I make my chicken broth, right? I start it that night.
Uh-huh.
and then I let it cool and I put it in the fridge,
Okay. That's
right?
how I do mine. Okay.
The next day I take it out
Mm-hmm.
because usually I have the carcass and I want to start it and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it gets late and I'm like, I got to let it cool off and I put it in the fridge. And then the next day I take it out and I let it cook down more.
Mm-hmm.
And I always make sure that before it goes in the canning jars, it
Mhm.
has boiled above the boiling temperature for a while, which
Okay.
is like 180.
Uh-huh.
Um,
You know what makes me feel good about the meat and the broth too? Like one of the things about pressure canning those two things, my fear is the botulism thing. But I'm going to not just wash my sink. I'm going to put bleach water in my sink and
that's what I do.
let that soak like overnight if I need. I feel
No,
like
no. Just
But-
sanitize your counters and your
Mhm.
sinks and your
Yeah.
areas, and like normal food safety.
Yeah.
Make sure your jars are clean, all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And but I would do the meat
Mm-hmm. That
first
does
because
sound easiest.
you can make your broth,
Mm-hmm.
let it cook. You could do the meat,
Mm-hmm.
and then when your broth is done, you'll be ready to do the broth, whether it's the same day or the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure everything is clean. That's all.
Yeah, I like that. And what's cool about both of those products is they're not something that, I mean, you're going to heat it up when you cook it anyways. Even if something did go awry and you had some little touch of botulism in there, you're cooking it to a certain temperature that kills that anyways, right? See, I'm still.
Okay, you can buy test strips.
Uh-huh.
I think we're walking a fine line because the reality of it is we can't recommend using non-approved recipes,
Yeah,
right? That's up
yeah,
to people to do with themselves.
that's right. That's right.
But you can buy test strips if you're worried about it, because from what I understand, you can buy test strips to test for botulism because food poisoning in pressure canned items is less likely noticeable than water bath.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is you want to make sure that everything is clean from a food safety standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So for your first time pressure canning, follow a ball recipe of raw pack and meat.
Yeah.
And it'll make your
I
life
like
so
that.
much easier and
Mhm.
less
I love that idea. You guys are really talking me into this because there's no recipe per se. I mean, you're following a recipe, yes, but you're not having to heat something up in another pot, cook it. You're not necessarily having to worry about putting, hot foods in hot jars, right? It's raw. So you're
and
going to. Mm-hmm.
you know to make sure your jars are warm,
Mm-hmm. But
right?
but wait, but okay, even when you're putting in cold hamburger meat?
Yes,
Okay.
because even though they can handle differences in temperature, you don't want to have thermal shock.
Mm-hmm.
What I do,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to they tell you not to sterilize if it's over 15 minutes or something like that. You
Yeah.
don't have to do that. What I always do is either they're filled with really hot tap water,
Mm-hmm.
which is really hot, or I let them sit in the canner while the water gets hot,
Mm-hmm.
and then I take out two at a time and fill them.
Mm-hmm.
But Gwen has a really good suggestion:
Let's see. Right
is go
here.
to the national. No, well that too, but
Because of the grease.
national.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that is a good idea.
And then
National.
look at Charles below hers. Hey, Barb.
Okay. Hey, Barb. Okay. Thank
Welcome
you.
back, Ginger. The
Hey.
bottom line is you want to have clean utensils, clean counters,
Mm-hmm.
clean jars, all that stuff. And the other thing you want to do is
Mm-hmm.
make sure you follow the instructions for they tell you what kind of spoon, a non-reactive spoon.
Oh,
Use a non-reactive spoon. Like I try to have stainless for everything.
yeah. Ours is
Um,
stainless.
but that's to me the like I ended up having a ladle
Uh-huh.
that I noticed would change colors depending on what I was canning.
Oh, that's weird.
I threw it out
Yeah, that's
because it was
odd.
making me nervous because that means something from that plastic could be leaching into the jar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm having trouble finding a stainless steel funnel locally. I'll have to order online, but I really don't want to. I want to see it.
Always pressure can for the food item that takes the longest. Example, meat or broth versus doing beans.
Yeah.
Pressure can for the food item that takes the. Oh, you mean if I've got more than one
Yep.
jar in there? Oh, I see. I was not planning on mixing stuff up like that. Okay.
Wow. And
Is that
I'm
what you
telling-
meant by do them both in the same day? Like put them in the can at the same time?
no, you would just do the longer one first, is my opinion.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Get everything ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like the day before, I would read your instructions a few times.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I have my electric canner, and even my other ones, my regular pressure canner. I sit there with the instructions and read them as I'm doing it
Mm-hmm.
because it just doesn't feel automatic to me. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Mm-hmm.
The freeze dryer, boom, automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heather said yes.
Okay.
Ooh, an old glass funnel. Very cool.
That is cool.
Oh, wait a minute. If you're canning soup with meat and veggies.
Oh, I gotcha. If they're like in that jar together.
Oh, okay. I see what you're
Okay.
saying.
I understand.
That makes sense.
Thank you, Gwen.
Yeah, I usually text Gwen when I have questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll be texting you. I've got people to text, so we're good.
Well, I mean, get a recipe, use either quarts or pints, right? That's the other thing. Do quarts
Uh-huh.
because you won't have a lot of jars.
Right? Well, I was thinking for broth, I would definitely do quarts. I hadn't thought it through to the raw meat, but I think
I do pints for broth.
Right? You do?
Yeah,
Oh.
because if I do make rice, we make it with our chicken broth.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And
Same.
so pints are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And quarts are not.
It is going to be so nice to not have to buy like any broth to have on the shelf. Because I have shelf stable broth because sometimes I can't really be fooling with the thawing the broth out that I have in the freezer. You know what I mean?
I found that the broth in the freezer got lost.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because I had these containers. I would use whatever containers I had on hand, or I would use ice cube trays.
Yeah.
And the ice cubes were handy, but they tended to get frostbitten.
Yes, I had that happen to cilantro ice cubes.
And I used then the large containers, you can't defrost as much. So
You can't. They're kind of reserved for like your big pots of stew too, because they need to be thawed out and just, yeah.
Yeah, see, Milk and Honey, always reread it before. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, Barb. I haven't done it.
Whipped honey. Oh, yum.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. One of the examples of things that I put in pints was the tomato soup, the Campbell's style tomato
yeah,
soup.
yeah.
I was going to put them in quarts, but here was the problem. You add equal parts of milk when you cook it. So I'd have 2 quarts.
You would have a lot of tomato soup. Yeah, a pint would be perfect.
Change that. Yeah, so pints for meat, 75 minutes pressure can time.
Okay. Oh, I love it. Okay, I think you guys helped me figure out what I'm going to do. And it's nothing fancy, and I've got to do a video, but maybe what I'll be saying is canning for the first time. Like that'll be the title of my video, canning for the first time. Beginner canning, this is what I started with kind of thing.
Yeah. And here,
Mhm.
Charles is offering you some help.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, Charles. Appreciate that.
I have not freeze dried broth, and I just feel like since I can it and I like canning it, I feel that it would be a waste of my time.
Oh, but you know what?
I can have bouillon powder.
Oh, that's true. Okay. That's what I was going to say too was, oh my gosh, but for the meals in a jar, the freeze-dried broth would be awesome.
Oh,
You're right.
absolutely.
You're right though, because you got the bouillon cubes. I guess the big difference is the bouillon cubes might be more salty.
In the freeze dryer, they would, because everything comes out saltier in the freeze dryer. That's
Yeah.
what I like about making my own stuff and putting it in the freeze dryer because you can control that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel the jars are pretty good. I mean, aside from having to store the jars,
Mm-hmm.
it would be nice to have the broth in different forms. I agree with Heather.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I have not done it. Heather, have you done it?
She might be thinking about it. Heather, if you do it, you need to do a video.
Well, what's her name did it?
She's just started using her freeze dryer more. So,
Sage and Stone did it.
hey, Jamie. Yeah, that would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Do you guys see what everybody just did? And I know that, we're talking about breaking your goals down into chunks, but we all just went through this practice with me. So now I have a plan. I've got a clear plan. It's broken down into chunks. The next 2 weekends, I'm going to be canning. And I like not canning all in one day too, Lisa, because I need the repetition and I need the repetition kind of spaced apart for me.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? That's my learning style.
Totally.
So,
Oh, Heather said not yet. Okay, okay.
yeah, you need to do it. Do it, Heather. Do it.
I'm trying to think. Oh, thanks guys. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. So yeah, let that brings us full circle. So let's talk about breaking it down.
Yep.
Breaking it down. She says your feet get tired too. They sure do.
Canning?
Yeah. I
Oh,
would freeze dry any day over canning for that reason.
really? Oh, good to know.
Well,
You know what? I spend a lot of time on my feet, like on the weekends, because I sit for a living, and I just make sure I wear like really good, good shoes. Like I'll be roaming around in good tennis shoes because I know on the weekend I'm going to be up and around. And as a matter of fact, any other time I want to encourage myself to get up and around, I make sure I wear my magic shoes. That's what I tell my husband. They're my magic shoes.
I wear really good shoes too. But here's the thing, like, so I was telling Gwen when I painted that quilt block,
Mm-hmm.
we stood on a concrete floor, had rubber mats.
Mm-hmm.
We stood on a concrete floor for hours and hours in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kills me
Mm-hmm.
because it makes my back hurt
Yeah.
and all that. But moving around is fine.
Yeah.
But you feel good at the end of a day of canning.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take Barb's Country Home Plan to Can 2025.
That's the name of the collaboration I'm going to be in through Jenny.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. Plan to Can for 2025, which is like the perfect name. It's beginner friendly, which is good, or I wouldn't be in there. And it follows Canuary. So yeah, it's perfect timing.
So let's talk goals. Who's got a goal for this year that they need help breaking it down
Yep.
with?
And who else has a goal of pressure canning? Anyone else here that just followed me along with that? Because you should do what I'm doing.
We're going to pressure can some meat and we're going to pressure can some beans.
Awesome, Lisa.
Right now, I'm in painting HELL. Hey, Shawcan Ranch. Good to see you, Veronica.
Hey, Shawcan Ranch. Oh, Barb. So make sure you're following Canuary because they're giving away one of the prizes, if not a couple prizes, are going to be pressure canners for the Canuary. Ooh, ranch style beans.
Gwen, send me what kind of inserts you have for your boots, because one of my boots that I wear all the time needs better inserts. Okay, so my goal is to grow more and process more. So how could we break that down? So to me, that's two different goals.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Right? Because it's grow more,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other goal is process more.
Yeah.
And sometimes the way that I like to think of it is what is my purpose for growing more, and what is my purpose for processing more? So for example, with grow more is, I want more homegrown produce so I don't have to buy it from the store. And process more is I want to fill my pantry so I can be more prepared. Or save money or whatever that is.
Yeah.
To me, those are two different goals, and you want to break it down into manageable parts. So it's like, okay, what is step one to grow more? Are you going to add square footage to your garden? Or are you going to add more plants?
Are you going to get more out of what you're growing already? That's
right.
one of mine, because I feel like I could use more growing space, but at the same time, I had some wimpy looking plants out there. Like, I had some plants that did not give me a sufficient amount of whatever it was that it was growing. So I got
Ginger.
okra, but not enough okra. I got bell peppers, but not enough bell peppers. Like that, even my jalapeno peppers, I feel like I got what I got because I did pretty good with jalapenos last year, but I feel like it was because I had so many jalapeno plants. I wouldn't even need that many plants if they would all just grow and produce more.
Yep. Yeah, Charles has got his
his goals to can also, right?
Well, no, I'm trying to find it, but he said something about his new he's going to be canning in my first All-American canner, so that those things are massive. I don't think I would ever need one that big, but that's really cool.
That is cool. I
told Barb she needed to get her button gear for a pressure canner. Both of mine were marketplace finds.
And Barb, you're in the plan to can. Okay.
And one was an auction.
Barb, you need to do like me. Let that be your deadline. Let it be your deadline.
Oh, that's cool, Gwen. Thank you.
If you can get a hold of a pressure canner.
Bye, Ginger. Okay, so she said healthier and almost grocery shopping free now. That makes a huge, that's exactly what we're talking about. Yep. Yeah. Every time we do something, we eliminate something from the grocery store, and
isn't it wonderful?
It is. It is. We haven't bought meat from the grocery store since I don't know when.
Okay. She did one step. That was one step.
By keeping
it real, right? Like making sure that you're actually, you got to, sometimes with goals, you got to give up one thing to be able to do the other thing.
Well done, Heather. Well done.
Awesome. Saying no isn't always easy, so kudos to you.
Yep. Jamie wants to can meats and dehydrate more.
That's a good one. Yeah, you do need a pressure canner, Barb. If you can get a hold to one, you never know. They have good sales here and there.
Yep. Heather at Milk and Honey says if you're getting a used canner, make sure the bottom is flat, replace the seal in the valve. I have one I haven't used yet for that reason, because I'm waiting for the extension to come to town where they inspect the pressure canners.
Wow, that's cool that they do that.
However,
oh, very cool.
My older one they looked at because they could not pressure test it
Mm-hmm.
because it was a Presto. They only do the ones with the gauges.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I had them take a look at it and they said everything looked really good on it.
Mm-hmm.
But Prestos are pretty inexpensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I got mine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, I couldn't justify an All American right now for me because I just don't use it
Oh,
enough.
it's no seal. It's metal on metal.
Correct.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
an amazing,
Really?
yeah.
Good
If
to
you're
know.
using it a lot, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a valuable tool. I just don't feel I need it.
Yeah.
Mainly because I technically have 3 pressure canners if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the 2 that I got, and then I have my electric one.
Mm-hmm.
So usually what I do is I use the one that I had that I've been using while the other one is waiting to be checked,
Mm-hmm.
and then I use my electric one for overstock. So
Yeah. Very cool.
yeah, what happens is the extension office, like they come to town and they bring the equivalent of, in my opinion, a bike pump,
Huh.
and they check the pressure on the
Mm-hmm.
pressure gauge.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
So, but they
I
can't
never
do
knew.
that on the Presto because it doesn't have a gauge, unless yours has a gauge.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the gauge is.
Yeah, my one of
It's
mine
nice
does
and
not have a
simple
gauge.
there.
One does, but the bottom line is I go by the jiggler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So it has something else up there. It's not just a jiggler. It's got another thing. It looks like a gauge.
Yeah, no kidding, Charles.
Yeah, that is cool. So back to Heather's. So Heather, it sounds like you did the first chunk, which was making sure you had time on your schedule, not overcommitting yourself. And then I'm thinking the next chunk is going to be having a what you think might be a winning plan in place. So in other words, which beds are you going to grow what? Like for example, the bed that I use for my peppers gets the most sun. I don't have to worry about anything getting too much sun because my peppers going to want all the sun they can get. They love direct sun. So, that kind of thing, making sure that you consider where your plants are going to be the most successful. Where are they going to what time of the day are they going to get shade? So I think about that too, like what time are they going to get the morning sun versus the afternoon sun and shade? And then yes, how many plants of what? And before we even go on, do you want to speak to that, Lisa? Because I feel like you have done so amazing with replacing a lot of the vegetables that you buy.
So, one of the things that I've done is look up how many I've keep this in my mind when I look on social media. But I do Google how many plants of beans do you need to get enough food for a family for the year, right? So for us, it's 2 people. Admittedly, I just haphazardly throw a lot of seeds in the soil and find out.
That's my method.
But I will say this: we are very strategic in what we plant, and the reason why we do that is because if it hasn't been prolific here, I don't want it. And so that's definitely a big thing. And I just want to speak to what Bushcraft Family, Charles, we got one from Fleet Farm. It's a stainless steel water bathing. And one of the problems we have is we have to process 10 minutes longer. And we found with our older yard sale version canning pots that had dented lids and all that kind of thing, I had to constantly add water. Whereas with the stainless steel one, I can see inside and see that the rolling boil is still going. I can see the water level. I can see all that. Plus, it is flat on the bottom. It does a better job with the heat. We have had a lot less problems with having to adjust on an electric stove. Highly recommend a stainless steel canner. I love it.
Huh. Okay.
But yeah, there are charts that will tell you how many plants you need for the number. of people in your family. And Charles, Ryan got it for me, I think, on a Black Friday, but Fleet Farm had it on sale. So just take a look at it. It really was not unreasonable in cost. And we ended up keeping the old canning pots to use for the animals.
Hey, Gwen, where would you find that chart? I mean, I guess maybe we could Google
You can Google it.
how many plants.
Yep.
But of course, Heather, it's going to be based on what y'all like to eat too, right?
Look at the year without the grocery store.
Oh yeah, we both got that book. That's a good
So
book.
if you look at say for example, you need X number of pounds of green beans for a family of 4 per year, then you're going to Google how many plants do I need to grow X number of green beans.
Yeah, that's such a good book.
I'm
going to go grab it real quick to show everybody. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Yep. Texas A&M website has the chart. Probably most state universities have it. Yep. Yeah, this year we're going to try some different things. We're going to try some winter squash and see if we can get some things to grow, because I've got a ton of tomato stuff in the pantry, and we're just going to grow a few for fresh. But definitely going to do some different stuff. I got to get through the painting stuff here first before we worry about it. The Year Without a Grocery Store by...
Who is it by? Karen Morris.
Karen Morris. And Gwen said to tell you, Texas A&M website has the chart. Probably most state universities have it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
They also have growing charts for your zone. Keep a pantry journal. Hey, you are. And gardening, keep a journal. Yep.
This reminds me too, Lisa. I shouted you out for the Prepping Library Challenge.
I know. I need to get to it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. If anybody hasn't been watching those videos, there's a whole bunch of goodness. And Charles, do you have a playlist for that? Are you going to make a playlist for that, or does it just? I swear, I think it's like gone off on a life of its own. But I would love if there was a playlist for that.
And it's just books that you like, because I saw that what you chose.
Yeah. Extension office in your area. You can stop by there. Most likely they will have the charts of, oh, that's cool. This is the first time I've even ever heard the term extension office.
Really?
I've never heard that in my life. Like, I don't, being from Arizona though, keep in mind, like the whole state of Arizona, which is a very large state, probably like the size of Missouri, roughly, comparing the two. But in the whole state, there's like, I don't know, 5 or 7 counties. So the counties are just ginormous. And yeah, I came here and there's all these little bitty counties that are so small that appear like, coming from Arizona, you're like, why they want to be up in our business? They got these little counties so they can make sure they're up in everybody's business. But the truth is also, they have stuff like this that you otherwise, with the really big counties, I don't know, maybe they exist, but you never go there. You don't know about it. I mean, God help you if you've got to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles or the forestry place to get a boat registered or something. I mean, it's just, you're going to be driving so far. Yeah. And then when you get there, there could be a horrible line. So anyway.
Charles said he can't make a playlist. They blocked how many he can make, but he shares them out.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that was a thing.
Done dirty. I'm done. I'll leave it at that. Charles is a good person, and I'm just frustrated with what he's had to deal with anyway.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Every state university has an extension office.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we have at SDSU.
So the extension office is stemming from, it's like an extension of the university.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
Well, because that's who does the, hold on a minute.
The education and stuff? Maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Very cool.
I'm going to look up that thing I told you about with them testing recipes.
Yeah, that's neat. I like it. I'm excited. What about everybody else? What you all got going on for your goals? How are you doing with that?
So I'll read this while we're waiting for folks to answer, but SDSU Extension has added a new food safety testing service to test acid or acidified, non-evidence-based recipes for canned goods to ensure food safety. The testing is free for South Dakotans.
Wow, that's cool.
Have a good day, Off Grid World.
I
Thanks for
saw
being here.
a local little Mizzou office in a town near us, and I thought, there's a university extension right there. Wow. So, I mean, I certainly didn't go in there. I didn't have any reason to go in there, but it caught my eye. I'll bet that's what it was. It was probably one of those.
I will look it up for you and text it to you.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, Gwen's even saying if she wanted to plant forage for her cows or goats, the extension agent will test your soil and tell you what to plant that's best for your area. They do all kinds of stuff. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. You know, I'm wanting to do the permaculture in my little off of my always want to say off my property, but it is my property. It's just off the yard. So it turns into woods right there. It's where my lemon balm is, where a peach tree kind of popped up all on its own. And I want to just continue to grow things over there that are like for food foraging that are edible. And you've got me thinking like maybe they would come over and test my soil and tell me what I could grow right there. That would be cool.
They'd have you bring it in, I think.
Oh, I see. Yeah, still easy peasy. I would. And they do canning classes. Very neat. Nice. I hope ours does something like that. That would be cool. I'll have to find out.
Okay.
So I guess another chunk of your goals is find out about your resources.
So I'm sending you the information for your county because I had to look up what your county is.
Oh, awesome, Lisa. Thank you. I'll check that out.
Yeah, it'll tell you because some of them have like classes and stuff. So ours, they come to
Grid World. Sorry.
That's right. Ours, they come to the library and they offered cottage law classes that we went to.
Neat.
They offered canning. I went to, and this was all at our library through the extension because we no longer have an extension here in town. And so let's see. So they came in and did those things. So it's been really good. Oh, yes.
That's what I want to do too, Charles. Very cool. So you're working with the American Herbalists Association or whatever it's called?
The Water District also has grants for planting greenhouses and more. The Water District?
Oh, that's interesting.
They do have greenhouse ones. I've seen them. There's also, like Gwen said, Master Gardener programs. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Heather's talking to Charles. Where are you doing classes?
Yeah. He's saying 800 hours. So I know for the registered herbalists that's offered through, it's called the American Herbalist Guild, AHG. So if you want to get your registered herbalist designation, they're the only association that does that. So you could get like, certified herbalist or something like that. But to actually be a registered herbalist, it has to go through American Herbalist Guild, Heather. And I know you have to tell them how many hours. I just thought that it was going to be like how much, like what class do you take and hours are measured by case studies? But I could totally be mistaken. I was looking into that years ago, got too busy with other stuff, but it's something that's actually on my list of looking into. Oh, you took another online. So you're doing like some one and done kind of courses? Very cool. That gives you credit hours, I guess.
Who's actively, besides Charles, who's talking about it right there, who is actively working on their goals?
Other than me and you?
One step at a time.
And Charles,
I'm painting. These darn rooms are getting done.
that's a goal.
It's a sucky one, but one I needed to do.
That's right. That's right. Anybody else having any luck with their getting that first step towards their goals, or is it still kind of an idea? Heather? Anyone else want to give us a thumbs up or
She called you out, Heather. She went, Heather. Heather said me.
I like Heather. I feel like I want to say she's got similar energy to what I feel like I have.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a hyper bunny. You are too, Lisa. You're
Not
more
as much.
controlled hyper bunny though. I feel like I'm a bit of a spaz.
I'm an impulsive one because I just signed up for another quilt block painting. Ryan says
Points at Heather.
2 is great, but we don't need 3, right? And by the way, I'm signed up for a spinning class too.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'd love to figure out the underground greenhouse this year.
Oh my gosh. Do you watch On the Plant? I know you're in Arizona. You've got to watch that one off-grid guy. What is his name? He's got red hair and he did the whole underground greenhouse thing. Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about, Lisa? What is his name?
Tom is like, turn this plate. I think I've been following Tom at On the Plant fairly early in his journey.
Mm-hmm.
And seriously, he has just really turned this property into something, and all by hand.
Yeah.
No large equipment, all by hand, moving huge boulders by hand, tons of rocks.
Frugal Off-Grid. Do you watch
Frugal?
It's called Frugal Off-Grid. Love that guy. And we started watching him. I mean, when we were in Arizona, he had just gotten started. And his story goes that he was going to be he lost his job. And he had only so much money saved up. It was COVID times. And he's like, if I'm going to be without a place to live, I'm at least going to have a piece of dirt to live on. So that was his whole concept. So he bought this property for like $4,000 in Arizona, and he did it. He did that. He says he's got a 10 by 20, 3-foot deep hole I dug. That's awesome. Yeah, check out Frugal Off-Grid if you don't already watch it.
Mountain Grandma, I don't mean to be rude, but I've fallen down on the job.
Oh gosh, we got 2 minutes.
All right, real quick. I just want to say, hey, Lisa Clovey, and they're talking about pruning trees and blah, blah, blah. But we got to go because
we got to go. I do want one shout out real quick. Heather is doing a live with Gail's Southern Living on Wednesday nights. Heather dropped the time. Anybody who is got any kind of health thing on their goal this year. No, I don't mean like, lose 100 pounds or anything crazy. I mean, if you do, I'm not saying that that's bad. That's amazing. I'm just saying that most of us would not sign ourselves up for that. But if you are looking to get healthy of any way, they're doing a health kind of live on Wednesday nights. So, Heather, if you want to drop the time in the chat. Otherwise, be looking for it. Milk and Honey Heritage Farms channel. I've been enjoying this.
And on that note, we're going to go because Mountain Grandma has a very sharp schedule. And wow, she's got 1 minute. So have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being here. And
hey, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. See you next week on Mountain Grandma channel.
Okay, bye.